as we get towards the end of the year, it's got me thinking, what did I even do this year? What did I accomplish? What did I try? Did I succeed? Did I fail? All of this and more. Okay. I want to reflect upon and give you my two major insights that I've come away with. All that and more after the intro. All right, now that the intro is played, welcome to the podcast, episode 208. I'm your host, Darshaun Smith, aka the Positivity God. That doesn't matter. Let's just get straight to the time capsule.
Time capsule.
For today's time capsule, my party people, I have 3 points I want to add in there. Number 1, I'm going to be starting off the new year on 2 business trips, almost back to back. The first of which is with the Hawkeye Marching Band. That starts, around Christmas, and I'll be getting back into town around the 1st or 2nd of January, 2026. And the second of which is going to be with a company called Golden. It's a sales organization, and they're having an event down in Louisiana that I will be attending and capturing some moments with. So it'll be super cool to start the year off strong with for the business, Darshaun Smith Productions, traveling to Florida. That's where I'm going with the Hawkeye Marching Band to capture the band's travel down there for the Relia Quest Bowl game, but also being flown out to Louisiana on the Gulf for Golden Con, so these high level, some door to door, some other forms of sales, people can come together and share their knowledge. And it's super cool that they want me to attempt to capture the moment and redefine what infinite wealth is. So more on that coming soon. Look alive. But for the next point, Trump has made marijuana a Schedule 3 drug. Now, what does that mean? I don't know, bro. I honestly don't know. I just know Schedule 1 was the worst and Schedule 3 is not the worst. So shout out to all the weed smokers out there. Shout out to people that maybe live in more conservative states, even liberal states that were, not trying to budge too much, because I saw in an article that because it is now Schedule 3 drugs, a lot of states are rewriting some policies, or they're themselves not going to criminalize people for the behavior in which they would like to partake in when it comes to this drug, as many people have been acknowledging. Now, like I said, I don't smoke weed. I don't really care about all this. It's just something for the time capsule. What does that say about our society, that we're happy that these drugs that alter our mind for good and bad, are being more easily accessible to the common person? I don't know. It's something to think about, and something I will think about indeed. But yeah, which actually gets me to my third point I want to throw into the time capsule this week. The Epstein files, ladies and gentlemen, have been starting to come out, and if I could find this picture, I'm gonna put it on the screen now. If you're watching this on YouTube, like I said, I'm gonna try. But if you're listening, I'll describe to you what I saw in this picture. And what I saw in this picture was a 500-page document that got released from the Epstein files, and every single word and picture was redacted. So they're releasing it, but you can't read any of it. So it's just pages on pages on pages of just black lines and black squares, and it's like, brother, like y'all at this point y'all could have just kept it. But whatever, maybe we'll get a chance to see who was worse than Diddy. You know what I'm saying? But I also don't care. As much as I probably should have, this is definitely way more important than having better access to like marijuana and other drugs, because these people who are in these files are, criminals. These people in these files are, are local and federal politicians and people that matter, and, whose pen strokes can change the course of this, nation and world, at large. And, they're partaking in things that we would all collectively consider not to be good. And as the host of the Positivity Hour, I would like to just, make my stance be known that Epstein did not kill himself. That's all I'm gonna say. Now let's get to the main topic.
Time for the main topic.
All right, for the main topic, I want to talk about the two insights that I came across. I was journaling about this the other day, and even more so, I was implementing that new storytelling framework I was talking about in last week's podcast to tell the story for an Instagram reel that I'm going to be recording. But I want to give my podcast the longer version, obviously the maybe less structured, trying to say this in like 30 seconds, or 60 seconds or less rather. So yeah, we're just going to start there. Like, what made me even come to this conclusion, obviously was reflecting on what has transpired this year. And obviously one would start at the start. Like, what was I doing at the start of this year? And when it comes to this podcast, as an example, it's very easy. At the start of this year, I told myself that I need to be in front of this camera 52 times, telling stories about my life and the things I've learned and the things I've come across and what insights that is, taught me, and how that teaching can help me teach you something. And in the course of this year, from the start to the middle to the end, I've had ups, I've had downs, I've had videos do well, I've had videos do very poorly, I've literally cried on the camera, I've literally, had real conversations with people of consequence, business owners in Cedar Rapids, a business owner from Chicago, people making waves out here, people hitting my emails, trying to come onto the podcast, all of this and more to say that, this year has been all over the place. That's the insight that I've really found out over this last few days and this last 2 weeks, I would say, is this year has been all over the place. And although there's been a great lack of structure, I've still been able to see success and move towards the dreams, goals, and aspirations. But the major insight that that has taught me is I need some structure. That's the one thing about this podcast that arguably I was saying in the last 2 weeks that I don't know if I could keep doing this. No, I would say this podcast has been the anchor to keep me going in life, because every Sunday I turn this camera on. Every Sunday I post this podcast, and almost 7 days a week I have some sort of content from the Positivity Hour going out into the world. And that provides me some structure. That provides me with deadlines that I need to get something done. And it needs to be good because people are going to see it. And over the course of this year, as I've realized that I didn't have structure in the rest of my life, it's made me think about like how good this form of structure, the deadlines and the pressure, you could say, pressure makes diamonds, to, elevate myself and elevate, the stories, more importantly, that I'm telling. Not that I was telling bad stories before, but the packaging, even in what I've said thus far, you got to start with context before you get to the reveal. And the context was, obviously what's happened throughout this year. And the reveal is I need structure, which funny enough gets me to my next point, the next major insight that this year has really brought upon me. And it all started once again back at the start of this year, really in 2024, towards the end of that year, when I was making the like end of ghost mode video, or the like I'm back, in the video I made when I got my new car, the Chevy Blazer. Because like throughout these last 2 or 3 years of my life, I've really just been experimenting with how I talk, in person, how I talk on camera, what I wear, what I dress, how I look. I literally have a beard now. I think I've had a beard for more of 2025 than I've not had a beard. And part of that is just, the lack of personal hygiene, just to be honest with you. I just didn't feel like cutting it or whatever. But the other half is like just seeing what it looks like, seeing how I feel, just experimenting with what I can control in my life, how I do show up in life, how I do appear in life, what I know and what I put into my head, all of these things and more. And that's really made me a different person, but for all of the right reasons. When I would change the way I spoke to people, I wasn't necessarily always happy with the results, but sometimes I was. Because when I, was quiet when I would have spoke up, or when I spoke up when normally I would have just walked away, I got a different reaction, and I was able to process that, to take a step back and just think, do I like how that happened? Do I like how this transpired? Am I not a fan of this? Like, what do I need to change to make the optimal outcome more consistent? And after thinking hard about that last point, I've came to the conclusion that I need to just be myself, okay? Now, that sounds very simple in nature, but let me tell you, being you is hard as hell, brothers and sisters, okay? There will never be another you, but you are always changing and evolving as you learn more and travel more and experience more. If you simply are the same person from, birth to death, you'll be a baby, okay? You gotta be a baby, then a toddler, then a little kid, and then a young adult, and then a big adult, and then middle-age crisis adult, and then you're on your way out adult, okay? Maybe there's like a second prime before the on your way out if you're lucky, but that's kind of the trajectory. And like each stage of your life, you're going to experience something different. You're going to experience new relationships. You're going to maybe live in a different place. For me, I just had moved back from Iowa City to the home I've lived in my whole life. And it's taught me a few things. And yes, I need structure. It's definitely taught me that. And I had way more structure in Iowa City, it feels like. And that's the reason I'm saying it, is that I need to take some of the ideas I learned down there from living there for 6 years and actually transport those up here. But also, I just need to be myself. I've achieved the greatest achievements of my life being myself. Talking like how Darshaun would talk. Sending messages how Darshaun would send messages. Talking to the camera how Darshaun would talk to the camera. Now, yes, has my voice gotten deeper? Most definitely. Go back to 2019 and I'm still doing what I'm doing now, but my voice is a little higher, like stuff like that. But it's still the same, I literally wear the same clothes. Like this shirt is old as hell. Like it has deodorant stains. Like it's been used. Okay. Still got the same clothes, still using the same bed and blanket, still using the same trumpets over there behind the screen, still sleeping on the same floor. Obviously things change, obviously I want things to change. I want to elevate. I want to experience more. I want to, have more, a wife, kids, multiple cars, new house or two, what I'm saying, elevated family experiences for all those around me. But it all comes down to, at the end of the day, just being me. Who is Darshaun Romel Smith, you may be asking? That's something we're about to answer in the Let's Get Personal.
Let's get personal.
All right, for your Let's Get Personal / wisdom from your OG today, I'm going to combine them just to keep things moving. Here's some wisdom from a normal man trying to be extraordinary, okay? Who is Darshaun Romel Smith? Mind you, I'm just going to word vomit real quick because I'm using this as the idea collection for a longer form video I want to make, like a mini documentary or something. So I'm not sure if you're going to see it, but look alive because I got some things to say. But yeah, wisdom from a normal man trying to be extraordinary. Who is Darshaun Romel Smith? Darshaun Romel Smith is an extroverted introvert. Okay, Darshaun Romel Smith is not afraid to speak up and speak his mind. Darshaun Romel Smith is not, afraid to ruffle feathers, but also Darshaun Romel Smith cares. Darshaun Romel Smith has it in him to be amazing, but sometimes chooses not to be because the normal life is pretty cool. Okay, I'm gonna stop saying my name because this is a little crazy. This person we're talking about, myself in this case, has great aspirations, dreams, goals, and all things of that nature, but obviously, faces obstacles. I'm just a normal person out here in this world trying to do extraordinary things. I'm a kid from Wellington Heights. Okay, I made a song about this. I've had multiple of my friends be shot dead in the street. I've had, a girlfriend or two, what I'm saying? I've had, many friends come in and out of my life. I'm just a normal person like everybody else, but I'm trying to do extraordinary things. Now, what does that mean? Extraordinary is the exception. If you want to be exceptional, you need to be the exception. If everyone goes right, you must go left, okay? If everyone's going up, why not go down? Everyone seems to just be getting by paycheck to paycheck. I have more money than I know what to do with, I'm not saying I do right now, but we're working on it. And because of that, if everyone works a 9 to 5 and wants a perfect work-life balance and things of that nature, you're going to realize if you actually want to separate yourself from the pack, you can't do that. That's why it's Sunday, and I'm working on this personal brand of mine, the Positivity God. That's why Saturday, I was on a phone with my brother talking about details about GoldenCon and our trip to Louisiana and what needs to be captured, money, flights, things of that nature, If you're genuinely trying to separate yourself from the pack, you can't be in the pack, okay? Where am I trying to go with this? You may be asking yourself. Personally, I don't know. Like I said, word vomiting right now. But what I do know is that although I am just a normal person trying to do extraordinary things, okay? I'm just a normal person, trying to elevate himself out of, the community in which I was born. But, as I also have in a song coming out soon, I'm trying to bring resources back to help other people elevate, because that's who Darshaun Smith is as well. If I had more money than I knew what to do with, motherfucker, you think once I have everything I want, I'm gonna give it away. I'm gonna run these numbers up and be like, you get some money to rebuild your house. You get some money to fix your car. You get some money to go back to school so you can learn how to fish too. Okay, I don't want to give people handouts. You know what I'm saying? Because I never wanted a handout. I would like to simply be able to, stick my foot in a door that is closing on me. And through everything I've said in this podcast thus far, the main topic, the time capsules, even the intro, my whole life has been that. Simply because I have been able to be Darshaun Romel Smith. I have been able to be the person who can, keep talking just a little bit longer so I can get a little bit more information and make the right move. I have been able to be that person to stick their foot in the door. Maybe get hurt because y'all mother truckers was trying to slam that shit hard, gang. But hey, now we here. Now I'm able to work with this person. Now I'm able to talk to this person. Now I'm able to find myself in this situation to where at least I have a shot. At least I have a chance. At least there's opportunity, okay? Because at the end of the day, me, Darshaun Romel Smith, I will be happy if I don't make it to the top. I will be happy if I stay a normal man to the day I'm dying, knowing I tried. Also in the song coming out here soon. Like that's all you can ask for. Like I honestly, like if you try your personal best, which in all honesty I have not been doing in the last 2 weeks, you can really achieve some things that are great. But it's the difference. I think Alex Ramosi summed this up best, and this is the last point we're gonna as in me, myself, and I are gonna talk about until next week. Summed it up best in this conference he was holding with business owners. And this business owner was trying to scale from $2 million a year revenue to $100 million in revenue in 2 years. And it's a near impossible task. Is it possible? Yes. But you're trying to be the 0.1 of the 0.1 of the 0.1 percentile trying to do that. You're trying to get all of it way too fast. And over this year, 2025 has taught me just that. You can do anything you want to do. You can have anything you want to have. You can go anywhere you want to go. You just can't do it all at once. Rather than being like, I need to be a full-time entrepreneur by the end of this year. It's not going to happen, bro. Figure out how to make $10,000 consistently. Figure out how to make $50,000 consistently. Figure out how to actually tell stories and then figure out how to package that so you can sell that to a client so that they will pay you the monthly retainer you need to go full-time entrepreneur mode. You know, this year has taught me, as Alex Ramosi was saying, you can do it, just not on your time frame that you've artificially set out for yourself. You're trying to do what takes any extraordinary person 10 to 15 years to do in 2. You've set yourself up to fail. And that is why 2025 has been the best year of my life. Because it has taught me multiple times, time and time again, from January to May to now December, okay? The timeline that I have set up for myself is artificial and it is not realistic. That does not mean I will not achieve my dreams, goals, and aspirations. It only means instead of trying to do it in all honesty, the literal 2 years I set out to, do it in 2 years ago, and me being like, I'm a failure because it's 2 years later now and I've not made it, I've realized I've made a tremendous amount of progress. Not all that can be measured. And because of that, I now have a plan forward for the next 5 to 10 years to actually make it happen. So that's all I got for you. I could try and sum that up, but like I said, word vomit. I'm gonna try to clip farm something in there for Instagram and such. But yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in to this week's podcast. I'm your host, Darshaun Romel Smith. Next week's topic, my friends, okay? We're going to do an end of the year wrap up, okay? Next week, it will be December 28th. I will be on my way to Florida, so I'm going to pre-record that podcast episode. And I'm going to just talk about the journey of this podcast in particular, the stories we covered, the highlights, the lowlights, the everything else in between, because next week we will have completed the goal. The biggest goal I would say of this year. Obviously, I had goals to make money for the business, which I didn't reach that. I had goals for the business that I wanted to get a certain amount of clients in. I didn't reach that, because as you live and learn, like I was saying earlier in the podcast, things change. I had learned that I don't have the skill set to reach those goals yet. That's me trying to shoot for the freaking stars. And brother, I haven't even figured out how to build some stairs to get into the house yet. Come on, we got a order of operations here. But the one thing I have been able to achieve is this milestone in this podcast. I told myself I'd do 52 attempts this year, 1 a week. Have they gone up on time? Hell no. But have they come out every Sunday? This week makes 51, okay? And next week we'll make 52. I'm going to keep this podcast going. And best believe, it's a great time to be alive, y'all. So next week, just expect the end of the year wrap up story time with your boy. And for your outro, like I said, man, thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of the journey. Thanks for being yourself. Thank you for giving me a little bit of your time. It's very precious, and I don't ever want to waste it. And definitely going forward, I want to just provide more value, provide better stories, provide you, something that you can walk away with and be like, wow, this was a great use of my time. Maybe this was a great use of your time today. Maybe it wasn't. But obviously, if you're watching this far, you probably, I don't know, at least have sympathy for a brother or something. So I still appreciate you. Thank you. And that's all I got. I'm rambling. Goodbye. Fade to black. Love you a long time. Woo. Yeah.
DSP. We capture moments.
I'm in my G'd up zone. I'm about about to get it in, kick your feet up, homes. Days turn to weeks when you're always on the grind all night. I got my re-up back, I'm about to get it in, I'll be right back.
Nate, high lows to those who don't know the name. And G'd up, yup, that's the only thing I claim.